We're ready to go. It's 9:30, everyone. If we could call to order the March 5th Vision Zero Advisory Committee meeting, it's 9:30. Ruth, if you don't mind, please call the roll so that we can establish quorum.
At this time, I'm only asking those VZAC members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. Alternates, please also state your name if you are attending on behalf of a VZAC representative. As a reminder, please press your microphone button once to turn on and off. Bruce Rosenwig.
Here.
Kevin Fisher.
Here.
Chris Kimmerly.
Here.
Joanne Scaria.
Here.
Fadi Nazar.
Here.
Ryan Mugridge.
Here.
JC Beery.
Here.
David Willock.
Here.
Daniel Junas.
Here.
Farah Tekbali.
I'm here in place of Farah. My name's David. My last name is Manset from Palm Tran. Thank you.
Simone Maricel.
Marseille here.
Marseille, thank you. Christian Santa Gonzalez. Joel Rosales.
Here, proxy to Joel Rosales, Ashley Arones.
Christine Perdomo. Tim Crespo.
Here.
Clinton Williams.
Here.
Tracy Phelps.
Here.
Stephanie Thoborn.
Here.
Martha Morales.
Here.
Catherine Wall.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Great. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so first, I know this is a little out of order, but I'd want to welcome Margie Tamblin since she's our new person here. I met you at our US 1 East Coast Greenway Sun Trail opening. She's from Martin County. If you all want to welcome her, you want to tell us about yourself, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, I'm actually returning to the Palm Beach MPO staff. I previously worked here, then I worked for a brief stint in Martin County at Martin MPO, and now I'm back. And I focus mostly on bike ped stuff, obviously with this committee, and I also do a lot with the TDLCB, so the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board. But yeah,
Thank you and welcome. Welcome back, I should say. So the next item is minutes from the December 4th, 2025 meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? And if not, can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Okay, David makes motion to approve
Second.
with Joanne. Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. The next item is general public comments and public comments on agenda items. Instructions on how to provide public comments are included in the agenda. Ruth, have any general comments been received?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. The items next are comments from the board and the chair. Let's go around first for anybody have any comments or updates since our last meeting in December? No? I have a couple. One, it was really nice to go to Safe Roads Summit, not Safe Streets. And then also Fadi, I want to notice that Fadi was recognized and nominated for an award for community champion. And it was great to see our people up there on the screen and get recognition for your nomination. So I was glad to see that. So for those of you who didn't go, Safe Roads is very informative and it gets you an idea of what's happening in the region. Joanne and I, we carpooled, yay, because it was a little weird to get down there at the Broward Convention Center. But if, let's try to make an effort to go next year. And I know I saw Clinton there and I saw some others there as well. And then the last item was we're having the town of Jupiter was lucky enough to get Sun Trail feasibility study. We're working on that, and we have a workshop coming up with FDOT that will be doing all the work for us April 22nd at the community center. So our section of Sun Trail, which goes from the new US 1 bridge and includes our river walk north of Indian Town Road, and it goes all the way into Tequesta, to Tequesta Drive. So looking forward to getting some good public input and hope to see the MPO there as well as Sunito. We'll see you soon. So with that, do we have any other comments? Did I get anybody reminders for? We have a few new people. David, you introduced yourself. Welcome. I appreciate that coming in. And then Kevin Fisher, you just got appointed.
Yes, good morning. Kevin Fisher with the City of Boynton Beach.
Welcome
you.
here, and glad to have you. And then Martha Morales is here from FDOT as well.
Yes, hi, nice meeting everybody. FDOT.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And okay, so then we can move on. If we don't have anything else, we have the VZAC liaison report. Margie.
All right, good morning, VZAC members. Again, my name is Margie Tamlin. I'm your new VZAC liaison. And for our liaison report, we have a few items to bring to your attention. So first and foremost, we are now in the month of March, which is Florida Bicycle Month. We want to encourage you to adopt a proclamation if you haven't already done so. And for those of you who have, thank you so much. You're helping us reach our goal of 30, and we appreciate your partnership in that. And thanks for dealing with my emails. I sent a handful of emails to all of you, probably about 3 each, roughly. And then today we're planning to have a short meeting because we have Kathy here from Safe Kids, Palm Beach County, to do a helmet fitting training starting at 10:30 a.m. And that's really important for you to get trained to do if you want to have an event where you can host like a helmet fitting event, and also to give out those helmets to the public. So whether that's kids, toddlers, adults, it's good to be trained in that to help people fit their helmets appropriately, and also to order those helmets for free through the UF Ped Bike Resource Center. And then next Friday, we have our Florida Bicycle Month bike ride starting at 9 a.m. Right here at the Palm Beach MPO. And we have a good array of facilities that we're going to visit. Please be sure to get here early and bring water, sunscreen, a helmet if you have one. If not, we'll be able to fit them here if you would like to have a helmet for the ride. We look forward to seeing you all there, and please register at palmbeachmpo.org/ride. And then some other upcoming events that we have going on are the Safe Routes to School workshop on April 3rd from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this event will kind of wrap up the outreach and walk audits that we've done like previously in the week. And that will have some Safe Routes to School leaders from across the country speaking. So I think we have 1 or 2 big speakers in that regard to speak at that event. Please register and join us. Please register on our website and join us for that event. We will also host a Boca Raton TOD, or Transportation Oriented Development Work or Mobility Tour, on April 22nd between 2 and 3:30 p.m. And please use our website to register for that as well. And then some other things that we have on the horizon, another workshop is a Transit-Oriented Communities workshop that will be held here on April 3rd from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this highlights our transit-oriented communities planning efforts that we've been doing for some time now. Please register on our website. And then we have an autonomous vehicles conference that will be occurring on May 29th. And this will be hosted in Boca Raton at the Innovation Campus. Please visit autonomousvehiclesconference.com to get more details and to sign up for that event. And some other ongoing events and efforts that are happening are the 2026 FDOT Strategic Highway Safety Plan, and then the countywide transportation master plan. Keep an eye on those websites for more information and events that are happening for those respective projects. And that's about it. If you're looking for more ways to get involved with the MPO, please visit palmbeachmpo.org/participate. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Margie. So the next item is our first and only action item. It is for the fiscal year 2027-2028 Unified Planning Work Program. And this will be presented by Andrew Euler, Deputy Director of Programs. He will provide our update. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, new members. So this is the Unified Planning Work Program for fiscal year 2027 to 2028. This will be operating under come July 1st of this fiscal year 2027. And with this, it's actually one of our 4 core products as a metropolitan planning organization. So every metropolitan planning organization in the country, all 450 of us, are required to adopt these 4 documents. The first being the one we're talking about today, our Unified Plan of Work Program, which is a 2-year budget. We have a public participation plan, which outlines how we go about our public engagement and the requirements for all of our review processes. The long range transportation plan, which is our outlook for 25 years into the future. And then our 5-year transportation improvement program, which covers our federal and state funds over the next 5 years in our county. And so today, the core product is the Unified Planning Work Program. So we adopt a new one every 2 years. This is our 2-year operational plan and budget. Again, it follows the state fiscal years. So it's going to start on July 1st of this year and run all the way to June 30th of 2028. So the end of fiscal year 2028. And in this operational plan and budget, it outlines the funding for all of our planning activities as an agency. So each one of the items within the UPWP includes what, who, when, and how much. So what are the specific deliverables? Who are the staff assigned or the consultants assigned to it? What are the completion dates? And then how much does it cost from the multiple funding sources we receive? Our agency works on a grant reimbursement basis. The overall majority of the funding for MPOs throughout the nation are federal funds, and that includes ourselves. And so what you'll see in here is a lot of federal funds that we seek reimbursement for. So the way this document works is it outlines our 2 years of planning activities and what we're going to accomplish as an agency and how we are in line with federal and state processes and what they want us to set targets for, plan for, and other requirements. And so once it's approved by the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration, along with FDOT, we can then start operating under, and then we'll start doing those activities monthly. And then we seek reimbursement monthly from the federal government on those activities. So we get those federal funds reimbursed monthly. The core products, tasks within this Unified Plan of Work Program there's 6 of them. It went down from 9 originally in this current UPWP to now 6 to make it easier to sort of be organized. The first one is engage and collaborate. So this has been combined. And with that is the overall engagement we do to the public, our social media, our presentations at various organizations and events. It's also the collaboration piece, which is a lot of our coordination with our stakeholders. It also includes administration of this committee, along with our other advisory committees and also the governing board. We then have short range planning, which is a lot of the consultant work is under here, as well as our planning tasks. Many of the items you see on your agenda today are items under short range planning. So it's our corridor studies, our safety plans, multimodal plans, and any work we're doing with jurisdictions. It's also from the studies all the way to implementation. So it also includes the prioritization of projects and implementation of those projects. Then we have task 3, which is long range planning. That really encompasses that other core product of the long range transportation plan. We just adopted one back in December of 2024, and that's on a 5-year cycle. So it won't be adopted under this next 2 years, but we're going to get started on that work pretty early in fiscal year 2027 and 28. And so you see some tasks leading towards the long range transportation plan. Also new to this task is there's a lot of movement when it comes to sort of digital twin technology, generative AI. And so we are looking into large language models and digital twins, and to see how we can make tools that help us with our scenario planning and some of the long range outcomes we have in the long range plan. So gearing up for that. Next is administrative agency, and that's task 4. So a lot of our financial reimbursements, maintain our certification under federal and state requirements. This building and all of the requirements when it comes to personnel and facilities is all under administrative agency. We then have regional coordination, which is with our partners to the south. That is with the Southeast Florida Transportation Council. It's made up of our MPO, Palm Beach, Broward MPO, and then the Miami-Dade TPO. And together we also create a regional transportation plan. And that actually, both the coordination of SAFTech and that regional transportation plan moves every few years. And so right now, Miami-Dade is handling administration of that. We're the ones who are going to house that next time. So you'll see, and it's on the same cycle as the LRTP, our long-range plan. So in this CPWP, you're going to see in the second fiscal year of 28, a few work orders going out with that and in coordination going with the regional transportation plan and then the administration of SAFTech. And lastly, agency expenditures with local funds. These are all local funds that do not seek federal reimbursement, are not eligible for federal reimbursement. And this is based on a 10-cent per capita per participating agency of the MPO. Overall, it's around $4.5 million a year. Again, the majority of these funds are federal funds. And so the main two buckets I'm going to mention are the Federal Highway and Federal Transit Administration consolidated planning funds. These are based on formula. So they're based on the population within our urban area. We receive about $2.5 million of those. And then the Federal Highway Administration surface transportation funds we receive. Part of those we go towards construction, overwhelming majority of those, and then we use a little bit for some of our planning studies and some more product design, and that's $1.75 million per year. Outside of those two formula programs, that's the bulk of the federal funds. There's also a little bit of state funds and then the local funds. And so the state funds we receive around $60,000 a year, and that's to administer the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage local coordinating board. So Margie mentioned that she also advises that board as a liaison. That meets quarterly in this room, and that oversees those paratransit, transportation disadvantage activities that PalmTran oversees. Next is the local funds, around $160,000 a year, 10 cents per capita towards non-federal reimbursements. A lot of those go towards some marketing materials that aren't eligible under federal reimbursements. It goes to other ways to improve and empower the agency, whether that be sort of travel, peer exchanges, a few items related to those. And then lastly, I know this is a lot, but lastly, another important one I wanted to mention is that most of the federal funds out there do require matches, a local match. It's typically an 80-20 split, very close to that. Here in Florida, and there's only a handful of states who do this, we have a soft match with our toll revenue credits. So the state as a whole puts enough local credit toll revenues into the federal system that it basically covers the entire match for all the federal funds we receive as a state. And so that's not out of sort of a local jurisdictions or cities pockets when they're looking for to get federal funds. They don't have to provide that 20% match. It's the same thing for our funds here in this Unified Planning Work Program. So don't require a local match for that. Here is that $4.5 million on average. It's the total of the 2 years of where the expenditures go by task. So larger ones are engage the public and collaborate. Task 2, short range planning. So a lot of that, those studies, and then getting to project implementation, and then administering the agency. And then the same information, but broken down by who's accomplishing the task for the various 5 tasks. So the first 2 are personnel, so in the red, and then consultants. So you'll see a lot of the consultant work would be in short range planning, a little bit of long range planning as well. And then when it comes to the other expenses that are not personnel consultant, they are under the administer the agency. So that's general travel, it's direct expenses such as our building facilities, and then supplies and equipment. Our timeline to adoption, this is your reading. I'm looking for your recommendation and then any comments that you have. It's been out to the public since January 28th. It's going to go to board adoption this month, and then it goes to the federal government, to FDOT, They approved the Unified Plan and Work Program. And once they apply that approval, our federal funds are authorized for the new fiscal year. And then we start that process of, on July 1st, spending funds and seeking reimbursement of those funds with mostly federal dollars. Public review, January 28th, and it's going to go all the way to our governing board meeting on the 19th. And I can answer any questions for you, take any considerations. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions? I see David.
I was watching the news this morning and the federal government owes the state of Florida $1 billion. And they said that the taxpayers may be on the hook for that. What happens if you spend money up front and ask for reimbursements from the federal government and aren't given them?
Right. I guess we haven't ran into that scenario specifically, but I mean, we wouldn't be able to get reimbursed for those, correct?
Yeah. Would it revert back to state funds then?
It depends what the funding source is. So that's an interesting dilemma. So here's an example is obviously we have to have some level, this is gonna get a little detailed, but we have to have a float that we have. We have like $1.2 million in a float right now. It used to be provided by our local municipalities. We had 4 jurisdictions that provided $300,000 each to give us that float that we can just draw down from that account and then seek reimbursement. And we're always putting more money in that account. We actually changed that float around and we were able to get into agreement with AFDOT on that. So now it is, from our understanding, state funds. And so, yes, if we were doing activities and then sought reimbursement from the federal government and says, no, that's not a reimbursable activity, we'd probably be more in trouble with AFDOT then, because it's their float now, theoretically.
But
So,
it probably would revert to state funds though,
yes, or local funds.
or local funds.
We do have local funds that we have. We have some contingency money in our account. So potentially we'd have to draw something from that. There's probably things here and there that might occur. I'd have to ask finance about items that we sought reimbursement for and this weren't reimbursed. I can't think of major expenses that had been like that though.
Okay, that's good that it hasn't happened in the past. I just worry about the future a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, that's why we get authorized ahead of time to draw things down. So, and then we have audits and all those things that assist with making sure we're doing it appropriately. But you're correct, right? If we tried to reimburse, it would be flagged and we wouldn't be able to get reimbursed for it.
Okay. Thanks.
Fadi?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought, Bruce, you put your,
yeah, I thought that you might answer entirely his question, but to follow up on that, is there some way of requesting from the federal government that perhaps these funds be put into some sort of an escrow until the plan is developed and they get to review? I would feel that it's much safer to have it in an escrow that could be argued if they decide not to approve the plan.
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I'd have to ask finance more specifically about how that would work. It might kind of work like that already. So I don't know. That's a good question. I can follow up. But
Yeah, the thing is that this is our state plan, which is how many millions of dollars?
this is our MPO's document.
Okay.
And it's the federal funds in this one you're seeing maybe around 8 million.
Okay, so I'm sure this is not an isolated plan nationwide. So multiply that by however many states are looking for
Right.
similar funds. It starts to look like real money. Yeah, my concern is just as David's, funding of these kind of things is a bit tenuous in the current environment. So I'd like to see if there's some way that we can get some kind of guarantee.
Sure. And maybe I can talk about that in a second to go back. Maybe maybe this sort of alleviates what you're talking about. You're talking about escrow, but again, like we have our float, right? So we have our funds that we're able to draw from. And once the funds are authorized, the federal funds are authorized, and we're seeking that reimbursement. I mean, those invoices are reviewed monthly by FDOT and FHWA, right? So they're saying, yes, what you are spending this on was appropriate work, and we're reimbursing you, right? So around $200,000 a month is being reimbursed. So I'm not sure if that sort of captures what you're asking. It's like we're not sort of, spending millions and then seeking reimbursement. It is an ongoing, recurring basis, and they're approving it before we get that sign off and get the funds back. So not sure if that sort of captures what you're asking, but I can ask finance, and you might know a little bit more about that. It's interesting. Thank you.
Fadi,
Could you show the slide with the money distribution?
Sure.
My comment is, for the short plan and for the long range plan, especially for the long range plan, I know everybody uses consultant, and that's very important. But my concern is that consultants, sometimes they have template that they use other places, and they try to just, okay, this is what work other places. Let's use it here. We are a very unique county. Basically 95% of people who travel, they travel by cars. Connectivity is important. Congestion is important. Critical nodes are important. I was disappointed to see in the latest plan that we had previously, and it's part of our thoroughfare map, a reliever for Okeechobee. It's kind of rollback extension connecting with Jog Road and so forth. I didn't see it in the last plan. And I think I really feel that you should be more local effort for the long range planning, not just relying on consultant, figure out exactly what they need for the county, and prioritizing those. If you need to do a lot of scenario run, a lot of whatever it is, it's important than just relying totally on consultant, because sometimes they just have template from someplace else they want to apply it. Thank you.
Would you like me to respond?
sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fadi, yes, I think that's a great point. People in Fadi's worked with a travel demand model, which is our regional model. That's a little slow because it's very detailed process to do trip generation and origin destination and all that for the model. That's why we're trying to look into more scenario tools, hopefully sort of like digital twins technology, like large language models, hopefully to get quicker runs of scenario results, because obviously we can do one analysis of one new roadway. We could do that, but to do that for multiple roadways is a big effort and takes a lot of resources. So hopefully this we're moving in that direction of what you're saying of like, we really need to do some more of these like individual link analysis and more, I guess, collaboration with locals on some of these facilities that you're talking about, right? For like Roebuck, So I agree with you, what you're saying. What you're seeing in this long range planning here too, just compared to the short range planning costs, there's obviously more activities in short range planning, but also the long range planning, you'll see it gear up a little bit more in fiscal year 29 as well. So the long range plan, the consultants really work on it in 28, 29. And this UPWP is going to be covered in 27, 28. So we are getting some of those things moving quickly or earlier so that we're ready to go for adoption as we head into fiscal year 29. So that's why you might see a little bit lower than what it might typically be during our LRTP cycle.
Great. Thanks. Does anybody else have any comments? You do? Synode?
So neat. I do have a comment. A question for you. When it comes to regional coordination, I'm understanding that there is already a established regional coordination, but are we talking at all with, I guess it's Martin County is who's north, but I'm thinking of like our St. Lucie population that's going in and out of our county. And I don't see anything in the plan that refers to that or discusses it at all.
It's a good question. They are mentioned briefly in sections sort of as on an as needed basis, I
Mhm.
guess. Like we we have coordination with the MPOs there. They both are MPOs as well. Both Martin and St. Lucie and Indian River, actually all three of them. And we do coordinate with them on a statewide level and then on a district level with District 4. And then when it's more of an as needed basis. So they reflected a little bit in a few sections. And then our travel demand model is really for our Southeast 3-county region. So it doesn't include Martin County. But it is a good point about, obviously the growing developments in those areas and the stronger community connection, transportation between our areas. So it's a good point. I'll reflect that. I'll make note of that to see if we're doing enough coordination there.
At minimum, St. Lucie is what I'm thinking. Thank you.
That's a great point. Martin County, Marty comes to Jupiter. So, makes those connections with Palm-Tran. But I think this is a really good reminder of us of what the MPO, previously known as the TPA, does and how it all breaks down. And, when I look at these, like, for example, this slide, I look at, where we as a board come in to this process, and then also how we bring back the information. And it's a lot. It's not just coordinating, it's the relationships, it's getting the information, it's educating, it's getting the public. So there's a lot into this. And it's more about, like, not just the plans, but it's a lot about the people and the connections that are made in order to be cohesive. And, I would have liked to see more people in the report, just because it is more indicative of what this is about. It's about connecting people, moving people, and so I appreciate it. We only see it every 2 years, so nice to see it and where everything goes. So if we don't have any more comments or questions, does someone want to make a motion?
Motion to recommend adoption.
Motion by Kevin Fisher, sorry,
I'll second that.
and Joanne Scaria, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes. We can go on the next item. Sorry, Kevin, I know a David Fisher, that's why I called you that. Okay, next item is information items. We have the pedestrian, bicycle, and micro mobility safety study. This will be presented by Nathan George, the principal multimodal planner.
Good morning, everybody. Nathan George. I'm a principal multimodal planner here at the Palm Beach MPO. I'm going to walk you through 2026. I'm calling this the introduction to the 2026 pedestrian, bicyclist, and micromobility safety study. If you know that we have a study that's similar to this, congratulations. That's great news that you remember back in 2017, a similar study was completed. This is an update. So we're here today to introduce you for the first time the effort that we're undertaking. So it's going to be a similar effort to what was done in 2017. We will be reviewing challenges for pedestrians and bicyclists around the county, identifying those locations where they experience the greatest challenges. So our top 10 corridors, top 10 intersections around the county, and then we'll make targeted recommendations. How can we improve safety here in Palm Beach County? This plan supports our Vision Zero action plan. So that's great. It really focuses on those specific bike and ped needs. And then it also is part of our strategic plan to produce this update. So we'll be completing this within the fiscal year to satisfy that goal 2B. So why are we talking about an update? Why is it even important? Well, since 2017, the trend line, the number of folks who are involved in crashes, pedestrians and bicyclists, continues to increase. The only good news that I can share today is that we're not seeing a similar increase in the fatal and severe injuries, the red line there at the bottom, but the blue and green lines are the number of crashes involving those users, and that continues to rise. Maybe technology is saving us from having a much worse outcome. But regardless, as you increase the number of crashes, we would expect that the number of fatalities and severe injuries may continue to increase. So we need to find ways to solve the problem of these crashes by preventing them or making them less severe when they do occur. And so the approach that we're going to take, first, I did include that word micromobility, and I want to emphasize that this study is going to bring in what we're seeing in terms of, there's a lot of attention on e-bikes, e-scooters, how folks are traveling around our communities today. It's much more prevalent. It's something that we're going to start introducing. There are a lot of challenges with addressing micromobility with proposed legislation in the state of Florida. We will probably get into that during discussion after the presentation, but we're really going to acknowledge what are some micromobility considerations that we can take from a policy perspective, incorporate that into this document. It's very important that we can start to work on that problem. We will be reviewing crash trends, and I'll give you a preview of what we've done so far. But establishing the new top 10 corridors and intersections, we know where the challenges are. They're probably not terribly different than they were before, but this is a data-driven process. So we'll establish what are the worst performers in the county, and I'll show you where those are in a moment. And then once we drill down what are the top 10, we're going to recommend targeted safety improvements, and this plan is going to be developed as a tool for implementation. We want to be able to refer back to it and use it as a way to address those most challenging locations across the county. Current status. So we started off, tasked the consultants. I would like to know what was successful, what could we have done better in the 2017 study. So they've conducted a review of the recommendations in that plan. Again, it reviewed 20 locations. Of those locations, I can tell you 13 received safety-related improvements, which is fantastic. Only 5 of those locations received targeted improvements. What was in the plan was put into place on the ground. That's something I'd like to see this future plan have a higher correlation when we come back and do, call it the post-mortem, how successful was the plan and being put into action. So I want to see that number be much higher 5 to 7 years from now. But we do see some good results. There has been action like the Lake Worth Road example that's on the screen where protected bike lanes or separated bike lanes were put in, side path that is improving walking and biking conditions in a corridor that continues to experience a lot of challenges. So that's great that we're seeing some action. We're currently screening the top 20 corridors. We started with a slightly larger list and we're going to pare it down because we do need to review these locations against recent projects, upcoming projects, make sure that our attention is focused where the recommendations can actually be put into action. So if Lake Worth was using that as an example, if it was continuing to be identified in data as a poor performer, we wouldn't want to look there again because we've recently improved the road. So we are screening to make sure that the attention is focused where we can actually make targeted recommendations and then take action. We have completed a countywide review. So this was scored using our HIN methodology, and it was conducted for every road segment that we review, all of our what we call our federal aid eligible network. And then these are the locations that we identified, top 20 intersections and corridors, and we're completing that process of identifying the top 10 so we can make the pointed recommendations. Just sharing this with you to say the challenges, to give you an idea of where we're seeing the challenges, it continues to be a mid-county issue. We have a little bit of South County. We're not seeing the worst of the worst performers in like North County or out in Belglade. So the good news, if you don't see yourself represented on this list, it means you're not having a lot of folks severely injured or killed in your communities. The bad news is that this is where those crashes are occurring. So just to reassure you, this data is available countywide, but these are the locations where we're experiencing that worst outcome. The next steps, what we're going to be going through to finalize this process. Again, we're working towards a June finalization of this work order to make sure we align with our fiscal year. So we're going to be finalizing the top 10 and rolling right into our safety assessment. What are the recommendations in those 10 locations that we can make so we can come back to you in May and provide you, these are the 10 locations we looked at. Here are the specific recommendations we're making. Here's what's going to go into our final report. In May, we'll still be working on finalizing those materials. So that'll be an opportunity for you to provide more targeted input on those locations. What are the recommendations? So we'll come back with that, but just want to reassure you that this is a work in process and you will be providing input very much as we work towards a June finalization of the document for the study. And as I mentioned, implementation is incredibly important. So we want to make sure that we have an actionable document. So after the plan is finalized, after we have a study document, we move into that implementation phase. So that's where we begin consulting with our affected stakeholders, the folks who live in those corridors or around those intersections, folks who work in those municipalities, the local governments. We may conduct walk and bike audits. We may have corridor studies that come out of that in the future. And then programming improvements. Sometimes we get a resurfacing project where we can have some easy wins and it doesn't require additional study or anything. But this is a tool that, as we see FDOT, the county, anybody working in those locations, we can try and get some of those improvements put into their projects as well. So it should be a really good tool for the MPO moving forward. Very excited to get it wrapped up this summer. And with that, happy to take any questions.
I see Catherine has some questions.
Thank you very much. What data are you using to identify the corridors and the intersections? Crash reports?
We're using Signal 4. So Signal 4 analytics data that comes out of University of Florida, and performed all of our evaluation consistent with our Vision Zero action plan, which basically takes, it applies a number of points towards a severe or a fatal crash. So as we accumulate those based on road segments, we get the worst of the worst. Basically like, 100 points for a fatality, you accumulate all those and you get the highest number of points, and that's the worst performer.
Got it. Would love to work closer with you. We have a micromobility committee, and thanks to the great work of the healthcare district, they're looking at the trauma data, and FDOT, and Fadi joined us last meeting, but putting all this information together is how to best approach it as a county. So would love to work with you because it'd be interesting to see it overlaid with the trauma data as well.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Clinton.
Yeah, so are you gonna be having any of the, like, are you gonna be reaching out to cities prior to like the recommendations, like just during your walkthroughs? Here, I did notice a lot of dots in Delray, so are you gonna be like kind of as you go along the first study, or is it just something that you'll coordinate with the towns later?
Yeah, this is really a data-driven process. So based on timing, it's going to be very difficult to engage a lot of folks. We're basically just saying, here's what the data said.
Okay.
To Kathy's point about where we have the biggest challenges.
Right.
The consultant team is going to make recommendations from, more of a desktop review.
Okay.
What are the tools in the toolkit that would address safety for the challenges that we're encountering at those locations? And then after that's when we can, I feel from a timing perspective, after that's when we can be most pointed to go out and talk with our community. Here's what we learned from a study perspective. But we may find some things are being done. And part of this too, I should say, is we want to get these top 20 out to our communities. So we'll be sharing the list and table of those locations to understand our local staff working on projects. So we understand that and make sure our attention is focused.
Okay. Another thing, I've noticed during our Vision Zero reporting phase, like we're working with Chemly, and they've been going with Signal 4, but we're also working with our local PD. And so they have their own kind of reporting. And I have noticed that sometimes the fatality numbers and the severe incidents have been higher than what was reported on Signal 4. So, I mean, is there any thought to reach out to the local governments, or is it just going to be purely at this point Signal 4 and things like that? Or
yes, at this point, purely Signal 4. I had, from being on staff at a city here in the county, I had great success working directly with my police department. So I can echo what you're saying. From a in practice perspective, it was great to get crash reports before they're in Signal 4, have all the data, within 2 days. The challenge that we'll run into is because we're reviewing it countywide, we do have multiple police departments, so we need to coordinate with it. Just, they may not be speaking the same language. So Signal 4 gives us good uniform data to do the initial review and identify locations. And from there, it's, it's really targeted to where that data tells us we have the greatest challenges. If there are other locations, we can, review that. I would say systematically, we can start to look at what is revealed through other data sources.
perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Fadi.
Yeah, I spoke with Niels, he's assistant for Commissioner Weiss, and I think he had an intern. She reviewed all the FITA report and summarized the one related to micromobility. She sent me a draft report. I don't know if you haven't received it, I can forward it to you.
I have not, no,
Okay.
thanks.
Anybody else? I have one question. So I didn't see North County, which is good, but just wondering if there's an opportunity to see where other municipalities rank amongst the top 20 or top 100. I know, I mean, you must have data that just lists things or lists roads, and just wondering where some of those roads, which we know where our problems are and where there's been issues, if we could have some of that to share, to be like, well, we're lucky we didn't make the top 20, but we're in the top 50 worst, intersections or roadway links or whatever it is, so that we can understand in context and compare with others. Because in Jupiter, we like to say, oh, things are bad. But when you compare them to other places, they may not be as bad. So it's good to understand that. And I was wondering if that would be possible to get some of that data.
Yes, the data that we have, like I said, we reviewed countywide, so we have the coverage for the entire county. So if we were contacted by a community, we could say, here are your worst intersections. We could just basically geofence or isolate all the intersections in your community, take the raw rankings. What I showed you is literally raw rankings of, on the segment, accumulated values for how many crashes occurred based on the crash outcome. That's all it is. So it's a very simple methodology. I'd also point to our HIN, because the MPO's HIN is another resource that you can be using. This is not replacing the HIN. It is another way of viewing the data and looking for challenges by these specific user types.
Great.
And Brian Reuscher, Deputy Director of Multimodal, just wanted to also mention, we can share the statewide characteristics for the emphasis areas. So there's a state Department of Transportation website where you can get the county's ranks for large, small, and then they break up the cities into large, medium, and small as well. And that will give you the emphasis areas. So it talks about occupant protection, intersection, runoff road, aging, speeding, aggressive driving, and it tells you your rank in comparison to the other cities. So we'll share that website as well with you, so you have it. It's a little bit more of a statewide perspective and compares you against your peers.
Oh, that would be good, because then we could see bigger areas and how we fit in as well. Great. Do we have anything more? Do we have more comments? No more comments?
All right, thank you all.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nathan. The last items are administrative items, which are 4A through 4C. They're informational only. There's no staff presentation unless requested. Does anybody have any special requests before we end? We do have our next meeting, which is May 6th. Have any fun conferences other than what Margie already told us? Feel free to come to our Sun Trail feasibility. Oh, Tracy, what do you have?
March 21st, we are having a bike ride on the El Rio Trail. It's not just us, IT, South Florida, or Puerto Rico, ITE, us, and I think DOT's getting involved too. So I think we're all three, and there could be more. Everybody's getting together and doing a one-time thing instead of everybody doing their separate bike rides. And that's on the 21st. You got to pay money. So I think it's $15, $20 or something like that. But
Get a bike?
we don't let you, you come in Boca, you're paying us some money. And, no, it is like you could leave. There will be bikes available, but that's going to be more expensive to rent the bike.
Yeah,
if you have your own bike, you just got to pay the fee. And
Okay,
that's,
thanks, Tracy.
that's coming from the ITE. Now it's coming from the ITE, not Boca. So
Okay. Margie, did you have something to follow?
I got a couple
Oh,
other things.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Now, if you're in Boca on Tuesday, the 12th or Thursday, the 7th, Thursday, the 12th or Tuesday, the 17th, and you're on your bike, you can stop by and get a free bike tune-up from one of our local experts in bicycle mechanics. The 12th is at the Boca Tri-Rail Station from 2 to 5, and the 17th is at the Spanish River Library from 2
Bruce
to
will be
5.
there.
Yes.
All right.
And there's the Joint Society bike ride, and there's one other thing, but you gotta be if you live in Boca, we are doing some e-bike training classes, starting. I'm not sure when they start, but if you do live in Boca, just be on the lookout for any e-bike training classes that we will be giving out.
Okay, great. Margie, did you have something?
Tracy, if you can send us those flyers so we can share that information, that would be really helpful.
Great. Okay, we'll see everybody May 6th.
Stephanie,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to clarify, May 6th, it's a Wednesday. We changed the date.
Oh, let's double check that one.
Looking now. That'll be the 7th. Apologies. We misled you. Madam Chair.
May 7th, Thursday. Thank you for the clarification, Bruce.
Good catch.
And there's no meeting in April.
No meetings for anyone in April. Correct. That's a skip. No meetings for anyone in April for the MPO. So that's a skip month. for us.
Great. All right.
And
We'll
one
s-
more item,
Okay.
Madam Chair. So Kathy, again, has agreed to offer a helmet training. So this is not part of the VZAC meeting, but I recommend you all stick around. It's a really good PowerPoint. It's a refresher for those of you who haven't been to a helmet fitting training and are already certified, but it's also really good information about new ways and approaches to doing this that Safe Kids has been offering. So please do take a break, but don't go far. Come back
Great.
at 10:35 and we'll get started.